bit, but for the people who are looking right now and watching, who are you? Tell people who you are. I told them if you like spoken word or if you know anything about it, you're called to move. Explain.
Yo, so the name is Brandon Leake. Born and raised out here in good old Stockton, California. But my poetry career has elevated and grown due to my time out in Sacramento. So Sacramento is like a home away from home for me.
Right.
I started a group entitled Called to Move when I was in college back in 2012, just full of a bunch of misfits, artists who didn't really have a place to call home. And then as we all graduated from college and, you know, artistry takes different roles in people's lives, it stayed important in mine, and everybody else just kind of moved on to their professional lives. And now Called to Move is an artistry group or collective comprised of me and like two other people who are like more behind the scenes. And we try to help elevate the culture of spoken word and artistry and the lives of young people through workshops. We go do performances and touring, getting into the videography scene, trying to also do some short films in the near future. So it's a lot happening, man, but it's a beautiful thing.
Plus you're a new dad and you got a new house and you got to paint. I mean, you got a lot going on, bro.
Oh yeah. And so I'm like, about to be 4-month-old on Monday. And then wifey and I have been together for 3 years, been together for almost 5 years, 3 years of marriage coming up in September. And then bought a house in December, and trying to still figure out how to be a kid in this adult world. So.
In a world that's now, you know, full of quarantine and whatnot. So with everything that you're doing, your initiative Called to Move and whatnot, how are you dealing with this, you know, this whole quarantine thing? I mean, has it been a challenge? I know it's a challenge for most people, but how's it challenged you in like your life?
Man, to be honest with you, it's been a challenge for me in the effect of like, it came with huge blessings and huge challenges. Okay. Challenges in the fact that I lost over $10,000 worth of income from poetry workshops I had.
Wow.
So that sucked. But blessing in the fact that my daughter was literally born like 2 weeks before quarantine started. And so I've been able to be home for all the fun stuff of her trying to crawl, her first bath, her first laughs and all that good jazz. And so as much as it's been like, like the world's losing its freaking mind.
Right. You got a little new baby. Yeah, I got you.
You know, like I've been able to find solace in the fact that like what I've always desired to be more than a poet, more than anything else, has been to be a father. And having her around has given me a whole lot of purpose. So
that's a beautiful thing. See, oh, come on, everybody looking at that. Okay, so Called to Move, this initiative now, you said it's a group, a collective, and whatnot. We spoke, last time we spoke, I interviewed you, right? It was,
back in, it was like late 2018.
Yeah, is that when you were going on tour? Is that when you were doing your tour?
I just finished the tour, and it was right before we realized that like we were getting ready for the time in which we were going to like, I was going to start pausing life so that way we can get ready to try and have a baby and everything else. So tour was coming to a close, and 2019 was either here, it was either early 2019 or late 2018.
That's dope. Now, anybody out there watching, like a spoken poetry tour, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen one or been to one or whatever, but his events are pretty awesome. If you love to be moved by words, like that's what poetry and spoken word is. It's like you get to grasp in this space, you know what I mean? Like and clutch onto like the emotions of what you're trying to convey. And you do that quite well. I just have to give you the props on that, by the way.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I try. I've been trying to elevate and grow as an artist in this time, man, especially with all this free time on my hands.
Yes. And now let's piggyback off of that a little bit with everything going on in the world as far as social injustices. Does that hinder your art, or does it you think it lend to you being more creative? Because us being Black men, just being so distraught over what we're seeing, and there's people standing up and fighting and, you know, protesting and so on and so forth. But how does that does it affect your art in some form or fashion, in a good way, bad way, or either, or both?
Protypically it motivates my art. Protypically, like I can, like, you know, pull on those emotions and tug to be able to create something. This time was actually more of a unique scenario where it kind of like it just threw me in like a disabled place where it wasn't necessarily any motivation to write anything. Because I
Okay.
had written this poem too many times.
Mm, I
I
see.
I had so many poems where it was like, oh yo, like just replace the name. Instead of Sandra Bland, put Breonna Taylor.
Right.
Instead of Alton Sterling, put George Floyd. Instead of Trayvon Martin, put Ahmaud Arbery. And so it baby handoff.
Oh, nice.
Um, and so it became that where it was like, yo, like this is becoming a cycle that is unfortunately continuing to repeat itself
Right.
over and over again. That yeah, like it's, yeah, it just really messed with me. And then not only that, but this was like one of the first times that I like really got mobilized and started helping out with like leading protests and speaking at them and getting actively engaged civically with like some of the policy changes that we're looking for here in Stockton.
Right.
And so, like doing those things took my mind away from the artistry and took my mind into a place of like political sphere. Um, which is great because you have to be more of a full-rounded person in the midst of these times. But it also, you also have to keep track of your purpose. Like, what is
Mm,
your purpose in the midst of this time? Um, and like, one of my main things that I was even thinking about before all this hit was the
right.
fact that I wanted to start up a Black-owned grocery store. Um,
Nice. Talk about it. That would be.
um,
That's cool.
because I'm like, yo, the economics of the situation is what's going to really impact people and start changing this nation.
Right.
Because this nation is far more greedy than it is racist, and their racism just feeds into the fact that they're greedy. And so it doesn't
Talk
matter.
about it.
It doesn't matter who they have to enslave. They'll enslave poor whites if they have to in order to make sure that they continue to make their bottom dollars.
Mm.
Um,
It's all
and
about the
that
money. It's usually always about the money, for sure.
You know what I mean? And so but no, so with that in mind, I want to start changing things economically. So now I'm shifting from that political sphere back into my economic and poetic sphere to try and shift things for my people from an artistry standpoint and
Got it.
from a economic standpoint to try and begin to build something new. Because I don't get mad when I go to my local taco truck or taco stand and there's nothing but Mexicans working in there. I don't get mad when I go to an authentic Chinese restaurant and there's nothing but Chinese
Good
people working
point.
in there. In the same way that I'm like, yo, when I go to this black grocery store, I want to see black people working and managing that place.
Yeah.
So trying to create a space where it's like, hey, yo, like this is Wakanda for us, you know, like this small sliver of Southside Stockton is going to be Wakanda, where you guys can come, feel accepted, and feel the culture is here. So,
So let me ask you this, because I noticed I used to live in Atlanta, but just for a year. But that was one of the first things I noticed moving from Phoenix to Atlanta. Obviously, there's more black people everywhere, but it just, and I came from Detroit, so I went from Detroit to Phoenix. That was an adjustment. Phoenix to Atlanta, going to the stores and seeing all the restaurants and when it was number of black folks. Do you think your environment plays a big part in that as well? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to, but do you feel like you have to move or go, open up this grocery store, or you should, in an area where we're populated more?
oh no, most certainly. Like I think that a big thing that people sleep on is how much culture impacts.
You're doing a million things at once, boy. You a G right now.
Trying. I think people sleep on how much culture impacts what's going on around you, because like California in itself is not necessarily a very black place.
Right.
California is a very multicultural, multi-ethnic place, primarily becoming more and more Latino as time moves forward. Um, and so with all that in mind, we have to keep in like Like that's something that we play with. But not only that, but we also have to understand the way in which our system functions has always been in favor of whiteness. And so with us, probably, I think California's demographic of black people is representative of like the U.S. Representation, only around 13%.
Okay.
So how do we, as 13% of the population, begin to make impact? Well, us 13% of the population actually accounts for about like, in terms of spending power, about like 36% of the nation's spending power on like rudimentary stuff. And so I'm like, if we begin to create those rudimentary things that we go spend our money on, then our dollar can now be reinvested into our communities. We can start looking at ownership of retail spaces, looking at ownership of actual like real estate in both like the commercial end and the residential. So there's a lot that can change by just shifting where our dollars go, which is why I'm like, hey, everybody goes grocery shopping. Everybody goes and buys food.
We all do. Yeah.
So I'm like, and there's allies who are looking forward to coming and shopping at a black-owned grocery store who want to start shifting their dollar to the black community as well. So I'm like, yo, everybody has their role.
So, yeah, I mean, your phone's breaking up a little bit, but you're still there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's good now.
Rough patch, I guess.
No, I hear you. I got you.
But no, with all that being said, man, the economics is what we really need to change about our situation. Once we change our economics, then we can change the world. So.
And I know there's a lot of people, celebrities and whatnot, even people locally who are promoting, like in your city here in Sacramento, of course, I'm sure in Stockton, like support black businesses, go spend your dollar there. Same idea, but you're saying with something specifically with grocery stores, because we all have to buy groceries. Turning that dollar around. Got me? Breaking up? Hello, hello? Oh no. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. You're frozen. You're frozen. If you can hear me, just hang up and get back in real quick. We'll try it again. I don't know where you're going through. You're going through the Himalayan mountains or something. Oh, wait. There we go. It's a little choppy, but I see you. Yeah, I got you.
All right, perfect. You got me now?
Okay, it's a little choppy, but I see you.
Okay, it should clear up in the next minute or so. I'm getting back into Wi-Fi.
Okay. All right, so everything that we're talking, if you can hear me, everything that you're saying, is in line with call to move, making a move or making an impact on your community, and knowing your purpose. What is Brandon Leake's purpose? What's your purpose?
Man, my purpose is, I would say, similar to what Tupac said in one of his famous quotes. I may not change the world, but I will spark the brain in which will change the world. I have a desire to create lasting impact and change even after I leave this world.
It's frozen again. Jeez.
I'm going to bow out.
If you can hear me, disconnect and try and get back in real quick. See what that does. There we go. All right. Shout out everybody who's just got in. Hello. Waving to people. Say Sabalos, my man, 100 grand. What's up, bro? Appreciate you always. I can't see who's in here because I'm doing the Iceman. What's up? Man, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Brandon Leake, good people, man. Great soul and super talented. And you'll see he's going to talk about that in just a few minutes here. What he's doing on Tuesday. So let's see. Wait for him to get back in. He's driving somewhere. You know how it is, man. This internet stuff. Plus, I think it's gonna cut us off in an hour anyway. All right. So he just said, "I'm coming back. Give me a sec." There we go. Just takes a minute. You got to get to, you know, when you're driving, especially. Kelly Curl Mom, what's up? Tell your dude I said what up. And let's go have a drink one day. Well, all three of us, whatever. Well, this quarantine thing is weird. Again, Arizona people, because I know y'all in here. What y'all doing out there, man? This quarantine got y'all acting up. I don't understand. Stay at home. Nothing out there anyway. Nothing out there for you. It's better things for you in here, inside. What's up with the corona? The corona stopped everything. Yeah, I'm saying. It takes a minute. I'm trying to, well, I'm going to post this video anyway. So obviously, so you can follow him and see exactly what he's doing and all of that. Check him out Tuesday on America's Got Talent. Poetry, which is dope. If you're from Sacramento, you know Dave Garibaldi. That's the homie. You know, he was on that show. Off the Big Things. And so, see what Brandon Leake can do. Would be dope. So, Stockton, California, by way of Sacramento. I know him from here. That's why I interviewed him several times. I don't know, 3-4 times on my radio show within the last couple of years, which is why we became friends. And I support this dude, what he does. Here we go. Brandon's back.
We clear?
We good now.
There we go. All right.
That's a million grand right there. I don't know what $1 million grand is, but that's what it is. What's up?
But yo, so I'll finish answering your question.
Yes.
So as I was referring to that quote from Tupac, man, my role is to be an inspiration, man, to utilize my artistic creativity to challenge people's ways of thinking, to get people to perceive reality for what it is, as opposed to like the disillusionment that they may actually have.
Gotcha.
That's why, like, when you ask me a question about like, yo, so like how does things go? Like how is your art motivated by these times that we're in? You know, like art is supposed to be a reflection of the times. And as we continue to create, the art should grow and shift with time and with the person. Like when I created my poetry back in like 2016, when we were dealing with like Philando Castile and several other people, it should look different because I'm different. It should look different because 2020 is different than 2016, though it may have some stark similarities. So yeah, like it's my job is to reflect what reality is in the moment and to begin to really help shape what we want it to look like.
So words have power, obviously, which is, you know, again, if you are not familiar with the platform of spoken word and being able to talk to people and reach people and really, like you said, get into their emotions about how they feel or to provoke them to think. How many times has that happened? I must not give an actual count, but how much of your creative work has really like afterwards, people come up to you and like, I never thought of it that way, and you really touched what I was saying, because again, that's the goal. Does that happen often? And that has to be the trophy for you, right?
Man, that is most certainly a trophy. And I've had quite a few people come up to me and share how my poetry has shifted their perspective or shifted their line of thinking. And that's been awesome to hear, man. Probably the most gratifying compliment I've ever gotten, though. You okay? Oh, thank you. Probably the most gratifying compliment I've ever gotten in regards to my artistry, though, has
Right.
been that I had somebody come up to me and say, man, you helped me reason with emotions I never even knew I carried still. Stuff that I thought I let go of years ago, that you brought back up in me, that I knew I needed better healing for. Between them and God, between them and their parents, between them and like old ideologies that they carried. And that broke me, because I was like, man, that was me 3 years ago writing this poem. And now that's you now being healed by a poem that is 3 years old from me.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. So the power of the words. Okay. So that has to feel good. Like you said, being able to reach people so deeply like that. I don't know if
Yeah,
you're going to
man.
have time to do some poetry today, or do something quickly, just so people can kind of get a taste of what you do. We'll get to that, though.
Got you.
Okay, so you explain who you are, what you do, and whatnot. Now, in the little promo video that I put out, you got something super exciting happening this Tuesday. Explain to the people, and how did you get there? That's what I want to know. What made you say, there's a big platform, I can reach even more people, but explain how you got there.
So this Tuesday, 8 p.m., no matter what time zone you're in,
Okay.
NBC, Hulu, local channel 3, whatever, you will catch me on America's Got Talent. I'm the first spoken word poet to ever make the show, which is
Salute.
a phenomenal feat. Super excited for the culture of spoken word to be represented on a national, actually a global stage like this, because it plays everywhere.
Global.
And man, to be honest, my journey with America's Got Talent started like back in 2017. So
really?
In 2017, I had just finished up a tour, and I said, you know what? I'm getting married. I'm taking a break from poetry. I want to focus on me and my wife, because my first ministry has always been called to being a husband, and I have to make sure home's taken care of, and traveling.
Salute to that. Salute. Say that louder for the people in the back.
Every single time, home is the most important thing. I can't be a good artist if I'm not a good man behind the art. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather let go of the art and be the great man that I could be.
Put that on the shirt, B. I'm just saying.
I got you. It's coming.
You gotta put that on the
2020,
shirt.
end of 2020. But nah, man. And so I'm teaching, and one of my homies hits me up and is like, "Yo, Brandon, America's Got Talent is coming out to Sacramento. Not Sacramento, the Bay Area, San Jose.
Right?
You should come out and try out with me." And I was like, "Yo, I got you. I'm there."
So it was no questions asked. You were like, I'm in.
Yep, I'm in. 2017. I'm like, "Yo, let's go do it. This will be like the one poetry thing I'll really pursue."
Right.
The day before we're supposed to drive out to San Jose and go perform, my homegirl hits me up and she's like, "I ain't going, Brandon. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it." And I'm like, "What do you mean you couldn't do it? You're the one who told me to go." And so I'm like, "All right, well, yo, I'm going." And so I go, and the stipulations that you get are, you got 90 seconds. And it's not in front of like Howie and Simon and whoever else is judging. It's just you, a camera, and a talent agent. And they say you have 90 seconds, go. And so there's thousands of people there. I show up like 2 hours in advance, thousands of people still in line already. And I show up at like 4 a.m. I leave San Jose at like 2 p.m. There all day. I was fortunate. I brought food. There are plenty of people who did not consider the idea that you could not leave the room. And so like they had like a little food truck with like hot dogs for like $5-6, chips for like $3. And I'm
See,
like, yeah, fam, they
$5
gonna,
waters. Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, y'all got them amusement park prices. I'm not paying that. Y'all got milk? Cool. I bought bowls of cereal with me. I just need something to be able to put on. You feel me? But I didn't come prepared. I didn't have a 90-second poem. I just had a poem that is like usually around 3 minutes.
Oh,
And I was like, man, I'm gonna go, and then when they tell me to stop, I'll stop.
gotcha.
And so I did that, and they're like, thank you, stop. And then what they told the group at the end was, hey, if we're interested, they said, hey, if we're interested, then we'll email you. If not, then come try out again with us next year. And then I'm waiting, checking my inbox for months, and I'm like, yo, are they gonna email me? Are they gonna email me? I'm checking my spam, seeing whether or not it got lost in like the spam folder, junk folder, or whatever.
You gotta do that.
And then a couple months pass by, and I start seeing commercials for the show, and I'm like, oh, I didn't make it. Awesome.
Because that's kind of how you know. I mean, well, other than the email, like you see you on that little promo clip, you're like, oh, okay.
Yep. I'm like, all right. And so 2017 comes to a close, 2018 happens, and I go on the tour, and that's when I come do an interview with you multiple times. I go to New Zealand, I go to Canada, I go to Mexico, I go to 36 states around the country.
Right.
I put out my best body of work, and what happened was I began to respect the art form that I was participating in more. I began to become a better poet because I started studying poetry more frequently. I started studying hip hop and other things more frequently than what I was before. And I became a significantly better writer and performer. And that's how I went on tour. And that's what I prided myself on when I went out there. Right. And then coming off of 2018, early 2019, I come into a similar season to the one that I was in 2017, where Brandon, you're getting ready to have a kid. Pause life. No more touring. Same thing I did when I got married. Because, take care of your daughter. Take care of your child. Take care of your wife. Take care of your home first. And I see that America's Got Talent's getting ready to come back around. And I'm like, yo, babe, I want to try out again. Let's see how this goes, right? And she's like, yo, go do it. And so they don't got one in the Bay Area this time. I got to drive all the way to LA.
No way.
I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm coming prepared this time. So I write a 90-second poem this time. I get it prepared. I rehearse it. I go to open mics and do this thing for like 3 straight months in preparation to get the performance, the writing, send it to friends to critique. I do the artist thing that I didn't do 3 years ago because now I more respect my craft and my art form, right?
Okay.
And then I go down to LA, and they don't have many poets try out for the show. It was only me and another girl who tried out for the show who were poets. They didn't even know where to throw us, so they just put us with a bunch of singers. And what they did was they broke us.
I don't want to interrupt, but did you wait in line the long time, just like you were in San Jose, the same thing?
Oh, definitely. Same thing. So thousands of people still there. Heck, like super long lines. I brought food again.
You brought food? Did you bring food?
And thank the Lord I brought food because they didn't actually have a food truck this time. Like it was like just if you was there, you was there. But no, and so I was there, and they threw me in a group with a bunch of singers. And what happened was I was watching when they called my group up to go perform in front of the talent agent. I didn't even pay attention to the other talent. Last time I did, I was like listening to everybody, vibing with it, trying to be super personable. And I still did that part in terms of being personable. But this time I focused on the talent agent. I looked at that person in particular, and I was like, the person would like shuffle through papers, check emails, text messages, all while these people were performing. And I'm like, none of them are capturing this person's attention.
See, I love that. Okay, that's what's up. There's a lesson there. There's a lesson there for all these artists out here who are trying to. Okay, keep going. That's incredible. Go ahead.
But no, and so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, and so everybody's going up, and like I'm the last person in my group. The person right before me is the other girl who's a poet. She's like 16, 17. She goes up there, does this really heartfelt poem about her relationship with Jesus. I loved it, gave her huge props on it. And I told her, I was like, yo, come back next year. Hit me up. I would love to work with you. Because like that type of poem is powerful, but also it's going to be hard to market that on national television. I'm just going to be honest with you. We can talk about it though.
You told a 16-year-old lad you broke her little heart, bro.
I'm like, you got to understand how I'm like, because half the time these shows are about like, how can they market you?
Yes.
But
True.
And I noticed this entire time from all 9 people ahead of me, this person did not look up once at these people until their 90 seconds was done.
Bro.
And I'm like, I have 10 seconds to grab their attention. And if I can get them in 10 seconds, then I got them. So I go up there. They say you have 90 seconds whenever you start. And then I took a deep breath and I began my poem. And I didn't even look at the person who was judging me. I looked at the camera, or I looked at the person behind the camera, or I looked at the audience, like the other 9 people who were there, interacting with them as I do the poem, which is something I learned on my touring, to interact more as a performer as opposed to just being a stoic guy with a microphone, right?
So directly, like, put your attention towards direct people. Yeah.
Yep. And then what happened was, and I timed my poem perfectly, so I knew when 15 seconds hit in the poem. Because I'm like, if I don't hit here at 15 seconds, then that means I'm going too slow and I'm going to have to pick up pace, right?
Gotcha.
And so I looked at the judge at 15 seconds, and he was like this, looking at me. Hands over his mouth.
And you was like,
nothing else moving. And I was like, I got him. Yes.
I got him.
Now you just can't drop the poem, Brandon. You got to finish it. And so I go through the whole poem. I finish. Yeah. It felt so good, and I finish, and I walk back to the side where all the artists are, shake everybody's hand, tell everybody how dope they were, and then they say the same thing. Hey yo, so like if we're interested in you, we'll shoot you an email. If not, come try out again next year. And I was like, all right, perfect. Thank you guys. And they're like, actually, wait, Brandon, we needed to talk to you. So could you hang back for a second?
Wow.
And so I was like, this didn't happen 3 years ago. So that's something's happening right now. And
that's
so
dope.
They asked me, they're like, hey, what else do you write about? Do you have more poems? And I'm like, I have a lot more poems. They're not 90 seconds, but I have a lot more
poems. What you talking
poems.
about? Right.
And they're like, okay, do one. And so I had to do like 3 other poems.
Wait, I don't understand. Everybody had left the room now?
Everybody's out the room. It's just me. The camera's not even running. It's just me and the talent agent.
It's just you and the talent agent.
And they just like, give me 3 other poems. Go.
And were these 90-second poems, or were they just regular length
Just
poems?
regular poems that I usually do.
And they stayed for all 3?
Yes.
Salute, brother. Wow.
And I'm like, and like when people talk about like like what luck actually means is when opportunity meets preparedness. Like that was me as an artist prepared for the moment, having like 50 in the Rolodex here and thinking about like, okay, like I now write about different topics now. Like I write about joy, I write about pain, I write about comedy, I write about family, I write about all these different things that people can relate to. So how do I convey this to the masses now, right?
Yeah.
And so gave him that, and then what the talent agent then said was, hey, well, thank you. If we're interested, then you'll be hearing from us soon.
See, come on.
And I'm like, okay. And I leave. I tell my homeboy about it. I tell my wife about it. And I drive back home to Stockton. And 3 weeks later, I get an email saying, hey, you're invited to the auditions in front of the judges. And so I'm like, yes, all right. And man, it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, a lot to process. And from there, it was just preparation again to get my mind, my soul, and everything in the right position to be able to go drive back down to LA and get ready to go do this in front of like a studio audience.
Sure.
in front of
And
judges
these
that would,
judges, and these 3 high-profile judges.
you feel me? And I'm like, all right. And they call me on a Friday because I'm supposed to go out there. Like it's like a month and a half later that I'm going out there, and they call me on a Friday when the Friday before I'm supposed to go out on Monday to go perform, and they're like, "Hey, Corona's kind of like really becoming a real thing. You need to get out here tomorrow, 8 a.m. We're starting filming."
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, let me talk to my wife.
Right.
I'll be there.
I love that you put, man, home is first. Home is first. Shit.
You feel me? I'm
sure.
like,
Yeah, home is first.
we just had a baby like
Yeah.
a week and a half before. And so I'm like, cool, let me talk to my wife because she's not going to be able to come now because she was supposed to come Monday.
Right.
But I'm like,
right.
we can't. I'm like, there's no just picking up and leaving with a week and a half old baby to go out to LA at this point. And so I talked to her. She's like, yo, go take my car, bounce out, because my car's a bucket. So I have to take hers out to LA. Actually, no, I took mine because with the baby, we didn't want to leave my bucket with her with the car seat. So I'm like, yo, if my car break down, then that's okay. But if you break down with the bucket car with the baby, that's not good. Cool. So I'm like, all right, perfect. So I drive down to LA, leave at like 7 p.m., hit the Grapevine. My car breaks down on the Grapevine.
Shut up. What a story, man.
It's like 11:30 p.m. My car's de-escalating on this hill. I'm like, fam, God, get me to LA, please.
Good Lord Jesus, please. Yes.
And I get to LA like 2 in the morning.
And you got to be there at 8.
I have to start filming at 8. And so I get there 2 in the morning. I lay down, let my wife know I made it, fall asleep. And I'm like, I have to wake up at 7 so I can get some food in me and get some food for the actual day because I know I'm going to be there all day.
All day. Again, you already know. Right.
And I get there, do the whole thing, and that's where the story ends until Tuesday.
Okay. Because I know you can't speak about it, but what? See, this is why this is cool to be able to have this platform to tell this, because I just saw somebody write inspiration in here in the comments. That is an inspired story, man. I love you. Have to tell that story, and I know you will on your platform if you should happen to go far on the show, and I believe that you will. But just even beyond that, your story, that story is an inspiration, man, to a lot of people who are artists who are trying to go get it, and your perseverance and you studying and all of that. And let me say this real quick. I have to shout out your wife for having your back. And since I've known you, you've always said when you went overseas to other countries, how she was like, man, she's encouraging you, like, go, go, go. So shout out to your wife and anybody else out there supporting their significant other, male or female, when they have a dream or when they're doing something that is in their soul. So shout out to your wife for doing that. I'm going to give her props for always like having your back. She's like pushing you, like, go do it, because she knows this is what you are called to move.
Yes. Ooh, trust me, the way that one of my mentors put it, he was like, man, Brandon, understand your wife is fertile soil. If you plant good things into it, only more beautiful things will come out of it. And so treat her as the garden that she is, because out of women come life. And I'm like,
boom.
All right.
Wow. That's amazing. So so you can't talk about how they responded when you did the poem or any of that, but Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Tuesday, 8 p.m. I can tell you, it was a unique day. We had no studio audience because this was literally the day before California shut down.
Okay.
And so it was there was so much happening that day, so much circulating around. They almost canceled the show twice.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I drove all the way down to LA from Stockton. Please.
With a beat up car. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to make it home at this point. I'm like, fam, the only thing I'm asking to get out of this is to be able to do this poem.
Mm.
And I got the chance to do it.
Can you tell us what the poem is about, or would you rather not?
I can't share that either. That's part of the contracts that you have to sign in this business now.
That makes sense. Okay.
I will
And a
say
lot of
this.
people,
There
what?
are tons of paperwork behind all this that nobody knows about. I thought I'd just step on stage and do my thing. No, you got to sign waivers, all
NDAs,
this
all
stuff.
kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, man. I cannot wait for Tuesday. I got it already set to record. But I'm gonna watch it live as well. But I just want to go back and watch it. This 90-second with no audience in a time of coronavirus or this pandemic. So I'm thinking you might have something. You know, you said something about that. I'm not sure. I don't know if I had to guess. Maybe you can't speak. I know. Yeah, I'm not getting you to say nothing. I know because you signed paperwork. But I just have to tell you, man, I'm so proud of you, man. This is what an inspiring story that you just saw. Like, I'm blown away by that. And anybody else in here, does anybody have any questions for Brandon?
Yeah, nah, man, I'm an open book. So hit me if y'all got any questions that you guys would like to know about or would like to see. Have me answer. I'll tell you if I can't actually answer it, because
Right.
some questions I may not actually be able to throw answers to. But yeah, and also, man, like I'm not sure what you're doing Tuesday, but if you want, we're doing a watch party at my crib here in Stockton. You are more than welcome. I'll shoot you the invite on Facebook, and
That's a good call.
we could do like a real live, like after the fact, like interview in person together on Instagram.
Like as it happens.
Yep.
That might be something to do right there, B. I like that. Okay.
Because like we my mother-in-law is actually bringing like a whole projector and like screen and everything, and so we're gonna set it up in the back so that way like people can still socially distance if they want to. We're gonna have like a whole nacho bar, the whole fun thing. It's gonna be dope.
That's dope. Now somebody put a question here. Love seeing you at So Far Show. Are you doing any of that or all new material?
I can tell you it's new. It's nothing that you would have heard before.
Okay.
So yeah, you would not, if you've been to any So Far show with me, you definitely never heard this before.
You never heard this. Okay. And somebody said, what channel number will it be on? I guess that depends on where you live, correct?
Yeah, I believe it would be channel 3 if it's just a localized news thing, but it's on NBC. So if you figure out what channel NBC is on your television, then you'll be able to find it. If you got Hulu and you can watch live TV, then you got it there too.
Then
so it's easy to get to.
So let me ask you this: being prepared, I'm sure I know the answer to this, but are you prepared for other 90-second poems if this should happen to go further?
Well, here's the interesting part. One of 3 things can happen. I either get eliminated, I move on to the second round, or I move straight on to live shows, because like they have this thing called like a golden buzzer where if like a judge gives it to you, then you get the chance to like move straight on. I got the chance to see, I've talked to like a couple people who've gotten it on Instagram. Been super dope to interact with them and figure out how they felt about that whole thing. That's
dope. Nice.
But no, I have intentionally written another 90-second poem because of the second round, but and I wrote that before I went out there, because I knew that if I was to move forward, I needed to put time and effort into a second 90-second piece. But if and when, if I'm proclaiming when, I'm Amen. Like, you got to speak these things into existence sometimes. If and when I move on, then I actually get 5 minutes.
Wow.
So that like that opens up a whole new world of possibilities of material that I'll have available to me. So
I don't want to jump the gun here. I don't want to jump the gun, but if you got 5 minutes to do one of your poems, and then you have people on stage like, oh man, that would be mind blowing, bro.
No, trust me. Like I've dreamt about it. If I get that opportunity, man, and I hope I do. like trust me, dog. In the intermediate, just waiting. Like I've like written down so many things. Like I have all these. Like I look like a freaking madman in my office with all this paper that I'm like scrambling around, like figuring out what to do with. But no, it's a beautiful thing, man. And like you know, the only thing that you can do is hope that things go well between me and the judges, that they'll see favor on this performance that you guys will see on Tuesday.
Yeah. And then moving forward, you know, like you say, you speak things into existence. But, you know, if nothing else, you were on a stage, a major stage, speaking your words that you wrote, you know what I mean, to impact someone. And I guarantee that it's going to impact at least one person who watches that show on Tuesday. And that's a win.
No, most certainly, man. Like that was, I talked to a friend of mine about that before I went out there because I was nervous. Like a lot of people don't think of, like a lot of people think that just because like I've performed a lot that I don't have nerves anymore, that I don't have any, like, you know, anxiousness or fear. I had tons of that before I went out there. And what one of my friends told me, he was like, Brandon, you already won, bro.
You won.
He was like, a poet has never gotten to that stage of the show. So you won, bro. He's like,
and
so take that. He's like, so hold
way.
that W.
Yes.
And he's like, no matter what them judges say, like you won. And he said some other stuff that I won't repeat, but you know what I mean? I was like, yo, man, I appreciate that. And when I walked on stage in front of them judges, that's the perception that I had. I was like, you know what? No matter what they think of this, I won. And at the end of the day, the most important part is I performed for an audience of one first. And if anything else, if they love it, it's just icing on the cake. And so yeah, man, just trying to change destiny and change legacy.
I'm so happy for you, man. Excited. I just gave you the 2-minute warning up here. It's counting me down. So I got 1:35 so we can wrap this up. So we ain't gonna be able to do poetry next time, but if you want to send something or something, I'll share it on my story or something so people can kind of see what you do. But more importantly, tell them again Tuesday what to watch, when to watch it, and how they can reach you.
So Brandon Leake, make sure that you guys follow me, Brandon Leake CTM, Tuesday 8 p.m. no matter what time you're at on NBC. You will find me on America's Got Talent. What the judges give me, you'll have to come watch the show to find out.
Have to find out. Yeah. Right on, man. Again, salute to you. I'm proud of you, brother. Congratulations on fatherhood. Because I'm sure that's going to change your art as well in this world we live in right now, too. Looking forward to hearing that art being created as well. That's gonna be amazing.
Definitely. So, love you, dog.
Love you, man. Much love. AGT, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, no matter where you are. Brandon Leake, call the move. Make sure you follow him. And I appreciate you, brother. Much love.
Catch you.
All right. Man, what an inspiration. That's such an inspiring story. All right. Well, everybody who was in here, thank you. I'm going to post this up. 20 seconds left. That's cool that they do that now. So I kind of know exactly how much time I have left because I think it only gives you an hour. And so my hour is up. I appreciate the support. Look out for the new podcast, Sugar Bear Show, if you want to call that. I love y'all. For real. Much love. Thanks for tuning in.